Our ancestors like searched for food for like 18 hours a day, wearing fucking loincloths, being bitten by insects, being murdered by mammoths. Nothing was comfortable. Not laying on the ground, not fucking having children, nothing. Everybody has it really easy. And I'm not like doing the weird primitivist fucking anarchist shit where you're like, oh, let's go back to, no, fuck that shit. I want to keep my fucking chair. I want to keep all of my stuff. No. What I'm saying though is that you have to think and look at from the actual relative perspective you're in. Shit is not that uncomfortable. We'll be talking about things about that in a little bit. But anyway, so there was a segment that came out and it involved Voosh. And to be honest, it was kind of exciting, but not for the reasons that I think other people would have been excited about it. So we're going to watch through it. I might speed it up at some point, but I wanted to kind of cover this. And Zizi hasn't seen it yet, I think.
That was part I saw.
Oh, no, you did see that. You did see part of that. Okay, yeah.
No, but there's
some stuff in here that we noticed that actually is really applicable to a particular thing. And yeah, we'll go over it. So just let's hop in. Let's see what Mr. Voosh has to say.
Bosh, I hear you, but at the same time I worry I'll stumble over my words or say something stupid, so I just tend to avoid the conversation altogether, then die! No! I'm afraid this fundamental human life skill might take a bit of effort for me to get good at, so I'll just never do it. Drink water? What if I spill some on my lap? Never again. Never again.
Yeah, that was a good bit. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm keeping this one short and sweet because I saw this on Twitter and I'm mad about it. Okay, I'm mad.
Me too.
Okay, so a gay boy posted this exchange in messages. It's not really an exchange. It's just a series of messages. Okay, take a look. We're gonna read them together and we're gonna learn a valuable life lesson. From the gay boy. I think it's safe to say I definitely like you. Heart, drive safe, pretty boy. I hope it was just as nice being held as it was for me to hold you. Gay. This is why hooking up with gay guys is better than hooking up with straight guys. Not that I would know directly, but I hear stories from women. Anyway, this was texted at 5:43 a.m. So they were up late. Okay, we get the context. They fall asleep. Morning text. How's your morning, by the way? Then later that night. Hey, was last night too much? Then later that night, if it has anything to do with me rambling last night, I'm sorry if it made you uncomfy at all. Embarrassed emoji. I'm bad with words. When I'm really tired, I can say things that are a bit out of pocket. Okay, this has 6,098 quote tweets and people are making fun of this person for texting a bunch. I'm going to defend this person, this gay boy. There is nothing wrong with how much they texted, and the problem is with all of you.
True.
All of you are on trial. I am rotating the prosecutor's desk around, and now all of you are on trial, okay? Sit down, okay? It's death penalty time, all right? You're fighting for your lives over here. Okay? What the f is wrong with you people? When did people become so cynical that this is seen as over texting? You have a great date that presumably they hooked up. You know, I'm guessing. I don't know. It doesn't really.
So before this goes on, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag as to what the context was we heard when we heard this. I am diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. It is a disorder that focuses on abandonment, either real or imagined, and causes emotional distress in the form of either anger or emotional lability, suicidal ideations, extreme behavior, vague sense of self, etc., etc., etc. I can go through all 9 criteria if you want. When I listen to this segment, what I see is a problem that I have faced so many times. It is disturbing. There are people in this chat who I have been intimate with, either in DMs or in person. You don't have to answer, but if you're dating me or have considered dating me or just consider me a fuck friend, you know there are times where I have literally in chats been like, I hope this isn't too much. Because if you are someone with borderline, and ZZ remembers this a lot when our relationship started because I hadn't been diagnosed yet. When you are dealing with borderline, I can have ideations that if you don't respond in a certain amount of time, I could believe you are dead, that you are cheating on me, that something bad has happened.
Pick any one of these out of a hat.
Yeah, it's randomized. And it happened this weekend. I had a friend of mine who I had a bit of an argument with, and I love them deeply, but we had a bit of an argument, and all of a sudden, you know, we started texting, and I literally was concerned that I thought I would not be able to talk to this person again. I literally thought that because I thought I had said too much, I had gone too far, yada, yada. So when I listened to this segment, and why I wanted to listen to the first half of this with you guys, is because I want you to understand this culture of over texting is fucking ableist. It's toxic as shit. Texting is asynchronous communication. You respond when you feel like it, though if you have an intimate experience, as Vosh will explain later, you probably should respond in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that you should, you know, let your BPD brain go nuts and send 30 fucking texts. No, it can be regular anxious behavior, but I'm looking at it from my perspective, Christy. Just like Beyonce Fort said, she's an anxious texter. Doesn't mean she has borderline, but again, if you're someone that has anxious tendencies or whatnot, right? So like, again, this is something that can happen there. And Tallow, I would guess that we both did a thing, but we can talk about that later. The reality is that like, again, I want to come at this from this because when I showed this to ZZ, ZZ had the same thought I did, which is, holy shit, this is what it's like to have borderline, where you are literally playing this internal mind game of, well, if I send too many messages, then then the person's going to think that I'm too interested. But if I don't send enough messages, they're not going to think I'm not interested. And so they will do this fucking thing where you like are constantly playing with like how to engage. And so we're going to keep going with this, but I want you to have that context of what it's like to be terrified that the person suddenly hates you or suddenly doesn't want to be with you. I feel like this kid got ghosted and it was unfair as shit.
But the other reason I hate this too is because like a lot of this is just healthy checking in afterwards. Right? Like, hey, is everything okay? Right? Like, no, fucking check in with people. It's fine. It really is okay. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. And like, I was never that big on drinking culture, but I did have friends though who would go out to the bar, maybe hook up with girls occasionally, or you know, find people that might go home with them. And like, no, the thing that he always told people was, "Hey, let me know when you get home." That's it. Like, that's a thing, right? Like, check in when you get home. Just let me know that you made it, because we know shit can happen on the way home. Like, he said the same thing to me, and I wasn't dating him, but he just wanted everyone to be safe. Like, he genuinely gave a shit about the people he interacted with. And this is just so insane that, like, this is a problem? Like, at least going, yeah, I made it home just fine, you know, hey, yeah. Like, God, at least give something after the fact.
You know what I want to add to this at the end? That fucking Reddit post we saw.
Oh, geez.
Not right this second, remind me.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Matter. Presumably they hooked up though, and then like the follow-up text the next morning, and then later in the night you're like, oh wait, they're not responding. Haha, did something happen that was wrong? I had a good time. Did they have a good time? Is this too much? The answer is no. I'm not actually taking answers on this. People are okay. People are like, bro, if you double text, you're indicating desperation, which lowers your sexual marketplace value. I quadruple text. I don't give a shit. I'll more than quadruple. I don't care. If I want to message somebody, I'll message somebody. If that puts them off, they can die. I don't care. And more people need to live like this.
Somehow Vosh's autism and bipolar fusion to Hod into borderline for just a moment there. If they don't like it, they can fucking die. If someone's uncomfortable with the amount I text, they should just tell me. I have lost more friends this summer over people being afraid to talk to me about a thing than like the actual thing they're mad or upset about because they're fucking pussies. Like, I'm not joking. They are more pussies than what I have between my legs. Like, it is absolutely insane.
Well, and we say communicate, but like, God, people suck at that. Or oh God, they get so stuck in their head and they just skip past communication and are just like, let's go burn it all to the ground.
But like again, like this is what he's saying here is correct. Like you send messages because you're being vulnerable. Like the entire point of dating or being interactive with someone is you're allowing yourself to be out there and be vulnerable. If I like somebody, I'm putting myself out there. If I tell somebody that like I like them, like, you know what? I really, really like Windleby. Windleby is one of my favorite people. I love texting with her. She's super fucking cool and based. Guess what? That's putting my fucking heart on my sleeve and it could get easily punched. Like, that's just a thing. But that's how dating works. That's being vulnerable. It's being willing to be vulnerable. This kid put his fucking heart on his sleeve and the internet made fun of him for it because they're a bunch of fucking sadists. Like, I don't understand this logic. Like, it feels, I'll be honest, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of fucking Red Pillars. Like the fucking pickup artists. It feels like the same logic as pickup artists. It really does.
Yeah.
Even the joke of like the marketplace value thing, that's like incel language. Like, again, you don't know, just talk to the person, simp for them. Like, again, the worst case scenario is you get rejected. Rejection sucks, trust me, it really sucks. But better to put your heart on your sleeve so they see you as you are, because it turns out if they like you, they see you as the messy person you are. I'm messy as shit. Do I hide that from anyone? Fuck no. I'm overly amorous, codependent with my partner, incredibly fucking, like, abrasive. Like, do I need to go on? Like, I know my faults.
Also, again, be gooey. It's fine. Like, be gooey. God, that first message of like, hey, I really enjoyed last night. You know, I hope you did too. Like, that was so freaking cute. Why are we making fun of this person?
Oh, yeah, no, the whole message there, they gave a little exclamation point with the heart. It was so good.
It was good.
Yeah, no, fuck pretentiousness. Fuck pretentiousness so far in the butt. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, the idea of doing this whole weird math thing to figure out whether it's okay to, no, just send the message.
Well, then, like, on the flip side, everybody wants to, like, be noticed and be cared about. Like, that's a massive human need. Right? Like, why should we not
Oh, shit,
talk about
Stonehawk.
that?
Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Missed you both terribly, so grateful you're back.
Aw.
Thank you, we missed you.
Thank you.
All right, be gay, do communication, and also crimes.
Yes.
Let's go.
This, all right, you people, this is one of the things that makes dating worse, is that people will like have a great date. Like you can have a first date with somebody where you're like leaning into each other in the car seat for like 6 hours making out or whatever, like both of you rock hard or wet, who cares, having a great time, clearly invested, and then afterwards you're both are doing this like tap dance game where you're like, well, hold on, I may have just spent like 3 hours with my hand buried in her, but I can't like suggest I'm overly invested here. Let me send a 2-word question to her exactly 3 hours after I wake up the following morning. What is wrong with you guys? What, like, seriously? I genuinely don't.
God,
And
I
by
don't
the
got
way,
time for
Vermin
that
can
shit.
attest.
I
I
don't
am
got time
not
for that
a
much
super
planning.
emotionally involved person, okay? I tend to, I'm like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. That's who I am, okay? I'm a little distant sometimes. And so I'm busy, okay? I've got a lot going on, all right? I'm a busy boy. I'm chair shopping. Okay? Bazinga. I feel like people are so terrified of being cringe that they're like you're being inhuman. There is nothing weird or wrong about like being pathetically into somebody. That's normal. It's okay. People are so afraid of being vulnerable that like you're like like you're all ooh in person, but then like it's on text and it's like, oh, I have to pretend I'm so distant now. I have to pretend now after having like 6 days fantasizing about the date we're about to have, and then had an amazing date, and then spent every second after the date like woozy with affection. Now I have to do this game where I'm like, that was pretty good, haha. Like, I'm so distant and cool, bro. Responding to the girl who sucked my dick 3 times in one night. That was pretty good, huh? What are you doing? What the are you doing? Well, I literally though, that was pretty cool. Like, what? Seriously, I thought gay guys were better with shit. No. This other guy is ghosting him. The other person will not respond. Okay. I know the gay dynamic. The other guy is not going to respond to this. So this guy's alone, the lucid lover boy.
Also, I want to be really clear. My fantasy world, people who do ghosting get put in the stocks. Not really, but maybe. Like, if there is one thing I think that is absolutely insane, I just don't like ghosting people. Like, I might take a while to get back to a person, and it's definitely happened where I've taken too long to get back to a person, and I'm not, like, I know other people are guilty of that, and that's fine. But this idea of just, like, never responding again after you basically, like, rearranged the insides of another person? What? Are you on drugs? Like, what? Do you not care about other people?
Just as humans, right? Like, just basic respect. God damn it. And I don't mind, like, if there is a really, like, extraordinary reason for ghosting, okay? There is something, like, insanely abusive. Fine. Whatever, okay? But, like, people will ghost for just the littlest things. What are we doing? And fuck's sake, like, if you're gonna ghost the person right after having sex with them, at least have the decency to tell them beforehand, because otherwise, that's not in, like, they need to have the opportunity to be able to, like, make consent happen, right? Having enough information about the situation. And if your intention is to just peace out and you don't tell people, well, you're just hiding information. Goddamn, people.
See, here's what I think. What would be really, really solid to do is that be upfront with people real quick. Is that, like, hey, like, real talk, can we put aside the flirting for a minute? Like, let me ask you this. Do you ghost? Like, honestly, like, it's cool if you do, but, like, tell me. And if they say yes, be like, okay, I really appreciate your honesty. Deuces. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, the reason is because I think that shit is fucking cringe. It is cowardly. Like, I don't think I've ever been ghosted, but I have this strong reaction to the idea as someone with BPD. Like, the idea that I, like, because remember...
No, we got ghosted recently.
Point. But, like, I literally, like, catch feelings like other people breathe air. I fall in love real fucking easily. And, like, the issue is like the idea that, like, someone who has at least has some kind of emotional connection to me that just decides to just disconnect. And I'm not saying, like, disappear for a couple days. That shit sucks, but that's not ghosting. I mean, gone.
I have blocked people, or I will never respond again. Just, yeah.
No. That stuff to me is just, it literally just tells me you are basically a child playing hide and seek. You're just going to hide. You don't want to engage. Now, obviously, you can come up with examples where, like, somebody has been harassed or, you know, treated poorly or whatnot, and those are different discussions.
Extraordinary circumstances that are not the norm,
but
right?
We're talking about, like, basic fucking dating. Come on now. Can we please be adults?
He's dead now, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. Encourage simping for people you're super into. True. I have seen people use the term simping to describe people that they're dating. Dog, you're allowed to simp for the people you're dating. That's fun. That's what you're supposed to do. What?
I simp for ZZ. I simp for my other partners. I don't care what state they live in. I simp for the girls I have crushes on that I want to date. There is no stopping my simping. I'm sorry. I will simp super hard for the girls that pay attention to me. Why? Because they're awesome. I don't understand this logic of, like, people, like, embrace the simping. Beyonce, for it speaks wisdom. Said Freud Lavin, let them in, we must.
So it's fine. That's okay. What, like, you should be. But immediately in chat, a lot of people were like, oh, why is he messaging so much? Now you're hiding because you think you're not getting the death penalty, but you are. The prosecutor's chair is swiveled. He sees all. It's so weird. I think, does the same apply to friends texting each other? Text people as much as you want. Text them 10 times. I don't care. You guys have way overcorrected. We all heard stories of some people being like a little bit crazy and overly like obsessive or whatever, and we all overcorrected, and now everyone's terrified to send 2 texts in a row, and people are like editing their messages post date to make sure they don't come across too emotionally involved. All right,
there's a question in chat, and I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Side note: learn to fucking use Shift Enter. Instead of doing one little sentence, one little sentence, one little sentence, put it all in one. It does not because I don't think you should be able to send all this stuff. It's because getting 10 notifications on my fucking phone is insane. Send one. Just it's a notification issue. That's just a dinging noise, and I have ADHD, and that shit's hard.
My ADHD is like, think of a sentence, enter. Oh wait, I thought of another sentence. Oh wait, enter. I thought of another one, enter.
I know. You're so lucky. I love you. Renetta Sian said, let's see, I have questions in the application of this in friend circles. As an autistic person, I've been ghosted by people who acted like my friend, acted like they cared over some unknown offense. It feels like this is not just romantic sex hooking up, but with bonding with people. Yeah, it's all relationships.
This is where I was going to go here next.
110%.
Yeah, no, this is also super applicable. And also, like, if somebody's texting you too much, just talk it out with them. Okay? Just have a conversation about it. It's not that big of a deal. Like, oh god, the worst thing that happened was that your phone dinged multiple times. Is it irritating? Sure. Is it annoying? Maybe. Whatever. But that's the worst thing that happened. You were not, like scarred for life because your phone dinged too many times, okay?
And again, like, this idea that, like, you know, like, I just feel like effective communication is realizing that, like, texting is an asynchronous form of communication. It's useful for covering certain things, but other things should be done over the phone. Like, Vosh is correct. We've overcorrected. There are people that are afraid to fucking order a pizza over the phone, but will send their friends literally like a fucking, like, Shakespearean drama over the course of fucking texting. Again, stop it. Also, again, there's something someone said in chat that I actually really also appreciate. At some point, I put aside the flirting and go, what are we doing here? I'm not joking. At some point, there is a way in which I will look at somebody that I like and be like, so what are we doing? And the reason for this is that I don't want to get my hopes up that they want something from me, or I want something from them that is impossible. Like, obviously there are compromises, right? Some people have situations where they can't just, like, out and out, like, you know, date you or things like that. But what I'm more talking about is, like, situations where, like,
well, it's getting clear on the intentions.
Well, yeah, it's the problem is that sometimes flirting. So the problem with flirting is that it is a very fun activity. It is also obfuscating, because sometimes it can be coyness, and that plays into the "you're into me," but sometimes it's also being dodgy, and that shit gets problematic. So you have to figure out which one it is, and often, especially if you're socially, like, you struggle with like social cues, you may not always get those things. If you're someone with BPD, you are kind of hardwired to assume that they're into it.
Or that you're the worst person ever.
Yeah, or you think that, or you think they're totally not into it. But yeah. So again, my argument would be about this is that, like, just at some point you put aside the flirt and you go, okay, we're gonna put this over here. What are we doing? I do this with every person I like. At some point I just go, what are we doing? Because if there's no way that this person can be like a sexual partner, for example, I had to figure out how to deal with that. Like, I had to figure out how to put this aside. If somebody is somebody who can be someone I want to date, and I decide I want to ask them out, well, then I need to navigate that with my partners and let them know, like, hey, notification, I'm now just seeing this person. Like, again, at some point you just have to be authentic with each other and, like, be clear what you want or what you're doing here. Like, I don't know why this is so hard for people.
People are insane. We have overcorrected, okay? You will know if you're, like, over spamming them or whatever, because if you're over spamming them, they'll tell you. And if they don't tell you, that's their problem. This is what it's like with the tactical autism thing, okay? Where people self-limit because they're terrified of bothering others. King, queen, spread your wings. Oops. If you annoy them, that's their problem, not yours. Seriously, I'm not joking. People need to be more comfortable directly telling off annoying behavior for others and far more comfortable with the possibility of being annoying. Being annoying is just a normal thing that humans will do to their friends and the people they're with. Sometimes. Not always, ideally, but sometimes. That's normal. You can have a great relationship and sometimes your partner's being annoying. That's fine. But people only feel comfortable letting that open after they've already had 12 kids with somebody, okay? I think people should be way more forthcoming. And I think it's genuinely like really sad that this guy got ghosted and a bunch of people are like, dude, man, 6 messages in a row? Really? Yeah, I don't care. I'd send 6. Yeah, for sure. These texts right here were sent at 5:43. If my goodbye text to a chick were at 5:43, I have presumably impregnated her, okay? She is pregnant. Like, there's no way. And then like this, like, though that's too much, I don't care. Just don't be entitled to a timely response. I have another thing I'd like to put you all on trial for. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Okay. I think that people have a right to respond to messages whenever they want. And it's not necessarily a sign that people are ignoring you if they don't respond quickly. People often do have a lot going on and are busy. However, if you care about a person, put in the effort. I'm taking both sides on this one. Generally speaking, it's fine if you take a while to get back to somebody. However, this bottom sent you goodbye texts at 5:43 a.m. I think you could have responded back. I think you could have woken up and thought, oh, wow, that bottom whose guts I rearranged the previous night, I feel like I will respond and say that you are nice. I think that's I think that simultaneously you can say, yeah, we should expect people to be varied with their message response times. And then also say, but come the fuck on here. Like,
I'm just going to say for the record, you can't like spare like a text message for someone who will let you put a part of their anatomy in your anatomy. Why do we devalue sex like this? It's so weird. Like, if someone like has a really enjoyable night with me, the least I can do is do a text. Am I wrong on this? Like, I feel like we're afraid of being intimate, but we're fine with plowing someone. like it's so weird to me. Yeah, like our body, like literally, I was wearing your fluids on my face, and you're like, but I can't give a timely response also, to our date.
So like, I don't like the idea of ghosting is insane, because like if somebody needs to get in contact with you later, and like, hey, by the way, you might want to get tested. Like, I tested for this thing. Like, that's just being responsible, okay? And you just ghosted them, and so now you don't even know or have access to any of the knowledge that you should have access to, and you're going to keep on dating and hooking up with people. Like, what? What?
No, again, like, I feel like if you're going to be, like, there's this weird way that people, like, turn off their brain. Hello said, for me, because I spent years as a sex worker and ended up with PTSD from it, and now my brain heavily compartmentalizes sex away from love and affection. To me, whether I want to be... that is a different discussion than, say, like... But, like, again, that's different. Mental illness is different to me than, say... not...
I'm just being weird about communication on just a day that ends in Y for the sake.
Yeah. Their internal configuration is different. Like, that's like, doesn't make sense.
It's like reading a how to date book that's like way out of date and then still following the silly rules in it. Like, what are we doing here? And even with mental illness or PTSD, like, there are still ways to handle that, right? To be upfront with people and be like, hey, these are things that I struggle with, but I'm working through them, and here's, some signals or some cues that I use. Like, there's ways to do that.
Well, and to me, it's like, if somebody's dealing with mental illness, like, say, in the form of PTSD or CPTSD or BPD in this case, like, to me, that's a different discussion. Like, if I'm interested in someone and they have BPD, and the issue is like, they've, like, done what Talo's done, where they've done this kind of compartmentalization, then to me, that's a patience issue. Like, if I know this person's into me, and I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, I can get either frustrated and, like, impatient, or I can just be a caring human being and just be patient and try to figure out, okay, what is going on in this situation, rather than just jumping to a fucking conclusion. That's a different thing. That might require specific accommodations in friendship or relationships or whatnot than, say, this whatever this is. These two people got together, they fucked, and then the person just stopped responding. And to me, even if you have a tendency to compartmentalize, to me, that's like you leave a note for yourself and be like, remember to at least say thank you. Thank you for plowing me, or...
Yeah.
open, honest communication and willingness to, genuinely speaking, try to be open and vulnerable. Like, it's okay to be rejected. Thank you again from President Sunday for the raid. Let's keep going.
Be real. If you're only responding like every other day and you're responding at 2 a.m. right before going to bed, do they really care? That's always the big warning sign. It's when you get the response messages like late at night because now they're lying in bed and they're about to fall asleep. So they're like, okay, you know? So if, like, not to say that's innately bad or whatever every time, but like, come on, man, you were in their guts. Come on, be real. Be real. Yeah, no, Teletech, I have ghosted people for sure. 100%. In my defense, most people are really boring. But yeah, no, I have ghosted people. However, I will say this. I never ghost people after them. I've ghosted people before first dates, never after. Because after a first date or whatever, there's enough mutual emotional, or certainly physical investment, if you fuck, that I think, you know, there's a courteous obligation at the very least for if I...
No. In all seriousness, I actually think if you're going to ghost, and I still don't think you should, but if you do, that system actually makes more sense than most. Like, the idea that a person is... if a person is like, hey, we've been physically intimate, like, I have had my hand inside this girl for X number of minutes, then you kind of try to respond. Like, if I have worn her like a Muppet, then, like, maybe I should respond.
I just don't want to see or talk to them, you know, to just say like, oh, I had a really good time, but I wouldn't do that after seeing a person. Before seeing a person, I can be a bit of a about that, I admit, but you know, it's something I'm trying to work on. I'm just saying I can't stand how callous people are.
Night,
you know?
Beyonce,
like,
for
look at these
you.
responses,
Night.
man. Leave him alone. We might not say to your mouth. True. No shade, but you're really pretty, and you really don't have to do all that. If someone sent this to me, I would ghost, but I would definitely find this type of attachment a bit extreme. How is this extreme? You don't know what like crazy looks like. If you think this is extreme, you have not seen crazy. If you think this is,
you should have saw me.
I
in,
also
like,
really hate the line, "You're really pretty. You don't have to do all that." So what? Because the bottom here is pretty, they should be the withdrawn one and wait for the top to be the one to like overinvest. You. That's the same logic, just in reverse. What if the top was even prettier? And also, just do it regardless of who's prettier. Yeah, like the corollary to saying you don't have to do this, you're pretty, would be saying you're ugly, you should try harder. And that. Are you gay too? Yes, you are gay. I can tell just for, yep, god damn. Oh my god, my radar. Bosh, that's what we're saying. Maybe they're lame for not texting back within the 24 hours, but the ghosted shouldn't post their stacked text on Twitter expecting sympathy. Why not? Why not? What's wrong with being a little heartbroken? Is that not a human experience? Why not? So they had a pleasant time, and then they were infatuated enough for the aforementioned 5:43 a.m. leave text, or why not? What's wrong with that? Are you so cynical?
Okay, I gotta speak on this because this is incredibly important. I get yelled at for this all the time. When I'm upset about something, either an ex doing something shitty, or a person, or like I get disappointed by somebody or whatever, like, I will get shit from people being like, oh, you're not supposed to do this, you're a content creator. Fuck you. I swear to God, like, if I am disappointed or upset or sad, like, there are obviously some things I shouldn't post as a content creator because it can put targets on people, and I don't want to do that. But like, if I'm excited for a person, or I'm like disappointed or upset about something, I will fucking post it. I don't give a shit. I will fucking 14-year-old post and not delete it in the morning because fuck you, I'm built different. I have no problem being like that open on social media. I think everyone is way too weird about this shit. Like, I'm not saying it should be your journal, and I'm definitely working on not doing that shit, but like 110%, like, no. Posting the fact that you feel heartbroken, I think you should be able to be open, honest, and direct about your human experience, because I think that this stuff is important.
That when you see this, it's like, oh, look at this bottom baiting attention. What's wrong with that? Why is everyone so eager to ostracize? Well,
fucking
okay,
true.
Maybe, sure, Vermin, but I think that it shouldn't be that way. I mean, Twitter is garbage. Guys, wait, hold on. This is unironic victim blaming logic. I can't be like, hey, I think it's bad that people have this opinion, and that people are like, oh, well, on Twitter, everyone's an asshole. Like, what are you talking about? Shut up. And also, it's not just a Twitter thing. People are callous about this kind of stuff everywhere. Gen Z self-imposes so much of its own social anxiety.
You know what? Honestly, based on previous things, I would have never thought Vosh would have done this rant, but honestly, I'm like vibing with this rant so hard. Like, True. No, people are just cruel. Like, they're unnecessarily cruel. They're fucking meanly cruel. There's no reason for being this way. Like, it's okay to pay attention. It's okay to want sympathy. It's okay to want people to know that you're fucking heartbroken, or you're struggling, or you feel like a piece of shit, or whatnot. Now, I'm gonna be really clear. There are some trans girls that I follow who will do this thing where it's like, I looked in the mirror today and I was really ugly. And you know what I'll do? If they get to be that authentic, so do I, bitch. I swear to God, I will literally be like, okay, don't talk that way to yourself or I'm finding your house. I will come there and lick your forehead. I swear to God. Knock it off. Because the thing is that, like, you can be authentic online and you should be able to be authentic online, but there's a difference where it becomes digital self-harm. That is the point. Like, that, there is a level to that. And I think some trans girls do it more than most folks. But let's be honest. What this kid did is not digital self-harm. It's not him overdoing it. It's just him sharing a fucking heart, like him being heartbroken. What's the problem? Why are we so afraid of letting people feel pain? This is something we've talked about on the channel before. I want to go off on tangent on this for just a second. We've talked about on the channel people's aversion to conflict. Okay? And one of the things that I think is really fucking important is that in a lot of cases, one of the things that I think people do is that they tend to, from that place of avoiding fucking conflict, will then do a whole bunch of weird, like, micro edits within their behavior or personality, such as not want to be open enough, not want to be vulnerable, not want to ask a person, hey, why did you ghost me? Like, this stuff is really, I think, really problematic, because in some ways what it feels like is when you're trying to not get hurt or not get rejected, or you're trying to, like, play this weird tension game, or we treat people like this online, it feels like conflict aversion. You're trying to tell this person, oh, well, if you act this way, this is going to cause a problem. No, they're allowed to fucking share. They're allowed to be open and fucking emotional. Like, why is this a problem? Thanks, I hate it. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you.
You guys are making it worse for yourselves. You know, a lot of you are younger than me. I'm not lonely. All right. If I wanted to, I could go. I'm fine. I'm autism pilled. If I want to hook up with somebody, if I want some strange, I'll just send them 20 messages about Legos. All right. I have the power. You're the weak ones. Okay. You're the ones who are over here thinking, well, if I send.
See, I just go, hey, you want to see my new body part? And they're like, yes.
Well, one message, and then the second one, she won't ghost me, will she? No, like, you're the weak ones. You break free. Break the chains. Get out there, man. Get out there. Have a date, and then send 10 messages saying how you like the date. And if they don't respond in 5 seconds, dox them. No, just try to be close. Yes, critical aloofness is a defense mechanism that a lot of people fall into. He says this shit on repeat so crushing. Yes, because this, like, unwillingness to be cringe, this fear of being cringe, this fear of being vulnerable is endemic to, like, everything here. You know, it's like all over the place. Straight, gay, man, woman, whatever, like all over the place. This shit, you know, people are just terrified of investment with others. And it's really weird. And you're yourselves over, like, really badly. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. It's not good for you. And what's the worst case scenario? Somebody, like, stirs up your guts and then gets burdened with a few messages from you. Like, what do you call that? Oh, that's Vosh, what about the it takes a lot of emotional energy to regularly interact argument? Then die. If you want friends, if you want partners, if you want people in your life.
Okay, that's like the perfect answer. It's a lot of emotional energy to deal with people. Can I be honest? So what? Texting is asynchronous communication. You respond when you can. Sometimes I don't have the spoons and I don't respond to you guys for a minute. And sometimes I do. And you know what? I do pick and choose who I respond to. If I see one of my partners, gonna respond to them first. If I see a girl I really fucking like, gonna respond to her first. If I see a story I want to respond to, I respond to that. Because I'm ADHD pilled and I absolutely will fucking go towards the things I find most interesting.
True.
Which are usually cute furry girls. Just throwing that out there. But again, like, you can, like, I don't understand why people are incapable of just letting someone know, hey, I don't got the spoons right now, or hey, let me get back to you on this, or any number of things, or just, like, get back when you can.
Also, that's, like, the name of the game with chronic illness too, right? Like,
oh shit, ZZ has to wait to get back to people all the fucking time.
Oh yeah, no, there will be people that, like, just won't hear from me for a while, and they just know. And, like, they know they can reach out again, right? And especially, like, and I tell them so, like, just do it. And there's a lot of messages where, like, hey, I see this, You know, boot me in a couple days if you haven't heard from me, right? Or I've got a migraine right now, check back later.
Fucking true.
Okay? But God, if I could at least squeeze out one of those, like at least somebody knows that like I give a shit.
Like one of the accommodations ZZ has for group chats is that you guys are allowed to text a certain amount and then you just stop the conversation, because if ZZ has to read through 100 fucking things through a fucking foggy brain, there's gonna be a problem. Because Poppy will scream.
Then you have to do that. You can't just not engage with people ever and live a half-life, okay? One of the reasons you're so tired is because you're living a half-life right now. You're not alive. You're a ghost. You're a ghost man. You're not alive right now. You're not a man, okay? You have to grow stronger, okay?
Half-Life 3
You're not
confirmed.
real. You're invisible. Starting to see why this is the loneliest generation. Dude, seriously, loneliness is higher than ever in recorded history. And it's like, hey, if you like a person, or if you like want to meet people and get along with them, you should be willing to risk emotional investment and like really message them and like actually try to talk with them rather than constant disengaged, like I can't be seen to be investing in this too much or it'll be cringe or whatever. And people are like, no, like what if I'm the boring one? Impossible. You're a tier 2 VGG sub. You can't be boring. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Rhetoric Bosch. Yes. It's okay to advocate for people to change their behavior. To be fair, advising people to be coy with their attraction isn't a new thing. No, there's a difference between being coy and being terrified of sounding engaged. I once went out with a chick. Okay, I once went out with a chick who, okay, most of the people that I date or hang out with or see with my eyeballs or think about, I have sex with on the first date. But there was one chick who I went out with who I didn't. And she was very coy about sex. And by coy about sex, right? What I mean is she wasn't like staunch or socially conservative or like prudish or unwilling to talk about it or anything like that. It was like she treated the subject with a kind of light, invested amusement. Like
True.
whenever there would be like flirting or we would get food or like talk with each other and be like, it would be looking pretty hot. And then she, it was interesting because I'm usually very forthcoming and she wasn't. But the way she did it, and I want to be clear about this, the way she did it was not her indicating a lack of interest. It was the opposite. It was her indicating interest in her own way. And
So what I was saying true to was what Stonehawk said in YouTube chat. Real talk. If someone is passionate enough about a subject, they can make anything absolutely fascinating. I do this shit with furry stuff all of the time.
It's true. It's true. Poppy somehow turned the entire polycule into furries and still doing it.
And I will turn all of you fuckers into ones too. I swear to God. I will furry pill all of you. Gotta get Arya that house somehow. The issue is that like, if you are like legit interested in something, you can make things interesting. You can really like sell people on stuff. Like I've talked about fucking integral theory. I've talked about Zen. I've talked about like furry stuff. I've talked about like just the concept of degeneracy. I've talked about like everything I can find. Like I can make a concept interesting by my own excitement. Right? Like obviously if the person's really not into it, then you step away, it's whatever. But still, like you can genuinely like put that effort in, energy. Yeah. You guys, like, again, this is the thing. Vosh is talking about like a fear of being cringe. This is why I tell you guys that I am a fucking furry. Do you know why? Because people think being furry is cringe, and guess what? I'm fine with the cringe. I embrace it. I fucking drink that stuff up. I have no problem. What's in this cup? Cringe. Like, I don't care. The fact of the matter is that I get to hang out with people who wear weird fucking suits, who draw fucking weird pictures that have better art than all the pornography you watch. I guarantee it. Like, yeah, fine, I'll be cringe, but at least I'm not boring, right? Like, the whole notion of being afraid of being cringe is so weird to me. Like, be allowed to be into things. Like, I love Power Rangers. And no, I don't mean like Tokusaga, whatever, fucking, I don't care. I don't care about the Japanese version. I don't care. I'm talking about the fucking Power Rangers. I'm talking about like it's morphing time. Why? Because people in suits jumping around, hitting monsters with swords is based. That's why. I think it's cool. That's why. Why do I own the fucking Dragon Dagger over here? Because I'm a nerd.
Poppy was literally playing with one of the
why do I own the Green Ranger staff? Because I'm a
pretending
fucking nerd.
I was so distracted. Poppy's over here pretending it's a sword.
What? Yes, I was playing. I was using one of the dilators as a lightsaber. Why do I have this? Because I like the click and I'm a nerd. And this thing's adorable. Look at this.
It's Mango.
It's Mango.
And there's an emotional support demon over here. And there's the rogue gobo over here. And I forget their names, but you know, that's okay.
Yeah. Like, no joke.
God, our house is filled with makeshift stuff. Oh,
like,
and there's a Fat Nuggets over here.
Yeah, there's a Fat Nuggets, which is the pig from Hasbin Hotel.
That is Angel's best friend.
Angel's best friend. And then I've got little lesbians down here. I've got like makeshift lesbians. But this is my point. Like, you guys have to like be willing to just be into stuff. Like, half of you. Okay, let's be honest. Like, how many people here are neurodivergent? All of you? Okay, good. So, if you're neurodivergent or queer, just be cringe. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Because here's the thing is, the more cringy, the more open you are, the more you're willing to just be yourself, you will attract the people who want to actually be with you. I don't like this idea of putting on airs so that people will be around me, because no offense, when I've done that in the past, do you know what that gets? I went hard online and said, you know what? I want bottom surgery. I want attention. I am a fucking nerd. And you know what? I have more girls in my DMs now than I did before surgery. And no, Tallow, you're right. Pink Ranger forever. Love her. By the way, best one is Kim. Just throw it out there. Followed by Kat. Then we can get into the other seasons. That's fine. Anyway, let's continue.
That makes all the difference. Her being a little bit coy and a little bit, I think the term is coquettish, or like, you know, like, oh, I'm glad you like it. You know, you look pretty nice yourself. Like that, like the like low tone, I'll flirt back, but like not full on grab your dick in a parking lot thing, which I assume was a lot more common back before people started hooking up on first dates all the time, you know, Tinder or whatever. But, you know, whatever led her to act that way, it was playful. And it indicated interest. And I thought it was delightful. I thought it was very nice. And I think fondly of her still. And keep in mind, she did that without like super engaged overcommitment. You know, the playfulness was just her way of expressing interest. I'm just saying express interest, you know? Just don't think of every social engagement as a like game to minimize your level of projected interest. Because if you do that, you're going to die alone. And ironically, how you master that playful coyness, I don't know. I'm a direct autistic guy. It's not my thing. I'm glad there are people out there like that, though. Vosh, I don't want to seem like I'm harassing or being intrusive to someone. That just, listen, talking to people a lot sometimes means bothering people. That's fine. Just be respectful. Like, don't be rude or demanding or anything. Like, don't do those things. And if a person is consistently engaging with you less than you're engaging with them, take that as a sign of disinterest and move on. That's it. If they're a little bothered in the meantime, fuck them. You're not hurting them. You're not ruining their day.
Fucking true.
It's not like this isn't an injury being inflicted. How many serious long-term partners have you had? Not many. Have a positive attitude. You are imposing on their comfort. That's life. Who cares if their comfort? What? So they're like, you're like, oh man, I am like ruining their day by DMing them on Twitter. Them? What do you mean? Give.
Okay, I love this. Unironically, I love this because the whole thing here is this whole deal of like, okay, like, I just gotta just throw this out there. Like, our ancestors, like, searched for food for, like, 18 hours a day, wearing fucking loincloths, being bitten by insects, being murdered by mammoths. Nothing was comfortable. Not laying on the ground, not fucking having children, nothing. Everybody has it really easy. And I'm not like doing the weird primitivist fucking anarchist shit where you're like, oh, let's go back to, no, fuck that shit. I want to keep my fucking chair. I want to keep all of my stuff. No. What I'm saying though is that you have to think and look at from the actual relative perspective you're in. Shit is not that uncomfortable. What Talos said in YouTube chat is unironically correct. Being comfortable is being stagnant. From a certain perspective, yes. I think there's a level of comfort. There's a level of like stability that I think is good, but there's a level of comfort that can kind of make you fall asleep in life. This is actually unironically a thing that's talked about a lot in Zen. God, we got to get back to Zen seconds. But like unironically, this idea of like being so comfortable in your life that you really like end up falling asleep. Vosh had another segment where he talked about this idea of like people who play never-ending games like Destiny and all this other garbage shit. He doesn't respect it, neither do I. Because the reality is people will settle into a game, they will play for hours on end that they don't even enjoy. They like mildly enjoy it when they could be going out and having actual experiences. League players, unironically, yeah, fuck MOBAs, fuck multiplayer online shit, fuck all of it. I hate it. I hate it. It eats people's lives. I hate it. Give me a nice single player experience or something I can play with my friends for fun like 7 days until we eventually get so ramped up that the game becomes boring and we stop doing it. Like that's so much more fun. I'm a Renaissance nerd. Yeah, I used to do Renaissance fairs all the fucking time. Mostly I stopped because I got kicked out of one. Oops. And
Poppy over here wearing her heart on her sleeve.
I didn't know you weren't supposed to be drunk and finger a girl on the dance floor. Oops. No one told me the rules.
On her sleeve.
God, I've done so many stupid things. Anyway, I wanted to watch this first part of this because Vosh goes into it a little more. You guys can watch the rest of the thing, and I don't want to take away from his views, but like, I wanted to watch this part with ZZ, and I wanted to talk about it because I think there's a real issue with the way we communicate with one another. And I think the big issue is that, like, be a little cringe. If someone's bothering you and they're sending too many messages or whatnot, then just tell them. Just be like, hey, this is a little much. Like, it's okay to make someone uncomfortable by telling them that they're being a bit much. And it's okay to make someone uncomfortable by sending too many. ZZ and I had to do this dance. Mm-hmm. We had to figure this shit out back when I didn't know I had BPD. And guess what? What we had to do? We basically had to navigate this into the point where ZZ had to make very clear boundaries. And we eventually navigated those in a way that worked. And did it mean that sometimes I had to suck it up and basically cry and deal with it? Yeah. Were there times where ZZ had to do more than they were comfortable with? Yeah. But that's what being in a relationship is for us. ZZ was very like non-texty. I was very texty. And guess what? We had to find a middle ground where like I could feel seen enough to be okay, but they didn't feel like they were overdoing it. And Chad, the reason they banned me was because her boyfriend was watching. I think they were separated at the moment. I don't know, whatever. I forget the context. She was hot and redhead. So I like girls. That's what I had. Unironically though, I do think that there has to be a discussion here about this communication. And I think this video is really solid. And I highly recommend everybody go back and watch it without our interruptions because I think it's really useful. The way in which they treat this guy on Twitter is unironically victim blaming. It's shitty. It's not okay. You should be a little cringe. You should be a little bit like struggling. You should have the ability to like be vulnerable. Yeah, you're gonna get hurt. I wear my fucking heart on my sleeve. There are girls that I've talked to recently who have broken my fucking heart, and guess what? I'm fine with it. At the end of the day, I might be pissy, I might be bitchy, but you know what? It happens.
Like Bun Bun was around, okay? Because Bun Bun's answer is generally like, if you're not petting me, you're doing something wrong in the world, okay? Like,
oh, I love when I try to kiss my partner and the dog runs up and is like, is there someone you forgot to ask? Anyway, this is
like, I have to get in on this. This
segment's gone off the rails, but I really do need people to understand that like you are allowed to text as much as possible. You're allowed to flirt. You're allowed to try things. Like,
also, you're allowed to talk out communication needs with the individual that you're talking to.
Also, yes.
Fuck
yeah.
anyone else's rules. Figure it out with the exact person. God damn.
Point being is try to be more communicative, be open, be willing to tell people when you're feeling bothered, and be willing to tell people when you're actually like not like when you want more in communication. You're allowed to ask for these things. Anna, unironically correct. Anyway, guys, I highly recommend you watch the rest of this video. I highly recommend you guys like consider this. Be open, flirt, be vulnerable, be willing to be hurt. Remember, even if it hurts, you will survive it. I assure you. Like, that's a really good way to go into this stuff. And do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, cool. We'll see you in the next one.